continue improving those crops. So I think we need to educate farmers. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Merci.
There's obviously a lot to say in 1 minute.
No, doesn't do it. Take the other one.
Yeah. So a lot to say. I just want to bring it back to where we started. We're running out of time, basically. And this is,
That's
I
true
think,
also
all
for
of
this
mine,
session.
especially when we start looking at some of these targets, like our yesterday discussion, when I end up saying, are we really serious? 7 seasons left, can we double productivity? But at the same time, I want to end this with the sign of hope. Last year, for instance, went back home in Morocco, and I could see something, witnessing on the ground. I'm sure Ismahan has also saw that, to show that the ways are possible to happen. This caravan of Al-Muthmir, for instance, I invite you to check it out, for instance, that started as a public-private partnership, bringing OCP, foundation, farmers, and basically what it is doing, it's bringing innovation and science to farmers' feet. And it's just outstanding, as you can see the adoption rate soaring in 1 year. So that's, for me, a sign of hope, say that it is possible if we put it all together in partnership, bring in the private sector and making it happen on the ground. That's one. Second, I would say, please don't throw the baby with the water bath. Because when we talk about the future, let's not forget where we come from. This green revolution that now we trash has been made possible to cut hunger in the 60s, 70s. And that was done basically by bringing the yields of staple crops. So let's not forget that. I don't think we have to reverse all that and say, well, let's flip the pyramid. I wouldn't push that. So here I'm pushing a little bit back and saying, of course, we have to look at diversification. We have to look at all this at once. For instance, the success story on Agrifood and all that others is helpful, but we have to keep it in perspective. And the final thing is youth. I think we saw it in this session, and that's the sign of hope. We have to make sure that the technology and the knowledge and innovation is channeled to youth in our region, and I'm sure we can at least get close to those numbers.
Thank you so much.
Well, I'm going to add challenges because I believe not only we will succeed in meeting the expansions of the food and do it more sustainably, but I believe that the entire food and agricultural sector can be flipped in the sense that at present it is contributing to global emissions. I believe that it can be flipped in the sense that it will contribute to the capturing of CO2 and storage in the soils. And that requires a broader perspective, of course, of agriculture, which most of us have, that includes farming and fisheries and forestry and so on, all together. And I think that the science that is being developed will work, and that this food and agricultural sector will not be a burden on the climate change. In fact, it will be part of the solution. Secondly, I believe that the technology is easily acceptable. Contrary to what people think, I mean, I would urge, for example, people to look at the M-Pesa system of banking that was released in East Africa using mobile phones. Very poor people with no education actually picked up on it fantastically. They are using these mobile phones, so there's no difficulty in assuming, as I showed in my slides, that you can actually take the global remote sensing data, do remote sensing analysis on the soil and water and so on in the farms, and precision farming can be brought forward and handed to the farmers on their mobile phones, and they will know how to use it, because people did not believe that the mobile banking would work. They said, you know, these are very poor, uneducated, illiterate people. Well, it works. It works extremely well. So we shouldn't underestimate them. Last but not least, when we say how to do it, I believe in a very powerful method that we used to use back in the 80s and 90s, which was demonstration plots in remote villages. You can't expect all the remote villages, especially if you go down sub-Saharan Africa in jungle areas and whatnot, to come all the way to the agricultural station. But we can send an agricultural extension worker who can actually say, we will have a demonstration plot, and you'll compare the new stuff we're telling you with your own stuff. And when you see, they do adopt. The adoption rate was very high when that was done back in the 80s and 90s. And that's one of the reasons why in one of my slides I did say that we needed a powerful extension service. The outreach is important, and to constantly bring in the latest stuff. And when they have their mobile phones on, and they will be able to get all that information right where they are.
Last but not least,
Very
my
quick.
boss will close this session.
Thank you, Jean-Marc. So just really I agree with all of you. Just to also end up on a note of hope, we are developing a science and innovation strategy at FAO, and really under that umbrella, what we are pushing for, I'm gonna leave you with three. We are doing a foresight exercise on technology and innovation. And the idea again is that the least income countries cannot keep up going back. They need to know what's coming, and they have to be ready for it in terms of policies, regulation, investment, you name it. So some of the technologies that Dr. Ismail showed us. So we need all to be on the same wavelength. The second one, what we are doing, it's a platform called Science, Technology and Innovation, whereby we want to bring everybody, the national programs, the academies. So what we are talking about, that continuum of from innovation to the ground, including extension services and making sure that the farmers has access to it. And between that, I want to just put a between brackets, affordability is very important. Most of the technologies are way too expensive, and they are expensive because they are imported. So an irrigation system in any part of country in Africa will be too expensive because it's imported. Let's manufacture it in the country, and you will see how the price will be dropping. The third one is what ATIO, which is the Agrifood System Technology and Innovation Outlook, that we want to have really an index to classify and assess a little bit how innovation is taken up at the country level. I have been visiting a lot Asia. I saw things that I have never seen in publications. There is so much innovation going on in small villages, in big ones. It's amazing, and that's where FAO role is really to bring that information. So the South-South Triangular Cooperation is one of the modes that we are using. So we need really the peer learning, and that's where one of the innovation of FAO is the farmer schools. It's getting farmers to teach farmers. We wanted that at the country level. We wanted that at the community level. So those three are very important. I hope really that they're gonna help the 194 member states to uptake science and innovation, so that really we get to the 2030 development agenda, hopefully by time, or at least some of it. The one that is closest to my heart is SDG 2. We need to get to zero hunger. We can't really keep having a huge number of kids that would never develop to their potential. Thank you very much. Sorry if I was late.
Thank you so much. A round of applause for all our panelists.